His heart stopped at 2:58 a.m., and he kept talking. Dr. Adrian Keller had spent the last 8 years studying one question that most scientists avoided. What happens in the exact second we die? Not grief, not the stages of shutting down, not the medical charts that flatten into silence. He wanted the line between being alive and not. Most of his colleagues called it an obsession. Adrian called it unfinished science. He never expected someone to volunteer. The email arrived on a cold January morning. "I am dying. I want to help you." The sender's name was Marcus Vale. The message was direct. Stage 4 pulmonary disease. Doctors say weeks, maybe 2 months. I have read your research on sustained hypnotic states. I want you to place me under hypnosis at the moment I die. I want you to document what happens to consciousness. Adrian read it 3 times before replying. They met 2 days later. Marcus lived alone in a small apartment in the Bronx. The place smelled faintly of antiseptic, and something beneath it. Something metallic. Something failing. Marcus was only 44. He looked 70. His body had thinned to bone and loose skin. Oxygen tubes looped beneath his nose. A steel cart beside his chair held medication bottles, syringes, folded cloths, stained rust brown, but his eyes were clear, sharp, awake. "You look disappointed," Marcus said quietly. "Most people expect someone more dramatic. I expected someone unconscious," Adrian replied. Marcus smiled faintly. "That comes later." They spoke for 2 hours. Marcus did not believe in any particular religion. He did not claim to know what waited beyond death. But when he was 12, he watched his father collapse from a heart attack. He performed CPR for 37 minutes before paramedics arrived. "I watched something leave him," Marcus said, staring past Adrian toward the window. "I do not know what it was, but I saw the moment he stopped being my father." That moment had followed him his entire life. "I do not want to disappear without knowing," Marcus said. "If there is nothing, fine, but I want to face it awake." Adrian explained the risks. Hypnosis was not magic. It could not stop death. It could not guarantee awareness. And ethically, the entire experiment lived in a gray shadow. Marcus listened calmly. "I am dying either way," he said. "This way, at least my death means something." 3 weeks later, Adrian had transformed the apartment into a quiet laboratory. EEG monitors, heart tracking, oxygen saturation, audio recorders, backup power supplies, 2 synchronized cameras. He also brought a colleague, Dr. Peter Rowan, a hospice physician sworn to silence. If something went wrong, they would need medical supervision. Marcus grew weaker every day. His coughing fits lasted longer. Blood came more frequently. His skin took on a gray tint beneath the yellow light of the apartment. On January 17th, at 2:41 a.m., Marcus called. "It's happening," he whispered. By the time Adrian arrived, Marcus's robe was soaked dark at the chest. His breathing rattled deep inside his lungs. Peter moved quickly, checking vitals. "Blood pressure is crashing," he muttered. "We do not have much time." Adrian knelt in front of Marcus. "Look at me," he said gently but firmly. Marcus's eyes found his. "Focus. Only on my voice. Let everything else fade." Adrian did not use a pendant. There was no time. "Your body is heavy," he continued, "but your mind is separate, clear, light. You are observing, not reacting. You will remain aware, even as your body changes." Marcus's breathing slowed. "Can you hear me?" Adrian asked. "Yes," Marcus answered, his voice thinner now, distant. The EEG showed the familiar waves of deep hypnosis. Peter glanced at the heart monitor. Heart rate 40, dropping. "Stay with me," Adrian whispered. Whatever happens, keep describing it. Marcus swallowed weakly. My hands are cold, he said. Very cold. Good. Keep talking. The pain. It's fading. His voice flattened further, emotion draining away. It feels like I am stepping back from myself. The heart monitor beeped slower. 30, 22, 15. Peter's voice tightened. Adrian! Marcus, Adrian said, ignoring the fear creeping into his chest. Describe what you feel. It's darker. In what way? Not like closing my eyes, more like lights shutting off inside. The heart monitor gave one long, uninterrupted tone. Flat. Peter checked manually. Then again. No pulse, he said quietly. No respiration. By every medical definition, Marcus Vale was dead. Adrian's eyes flicked to the EEG. The brainwaves were still moving. Weak, but present. Marcus, Adrian said carefully. Can you hear me? A pause. Long enough to make Peter step backward. Then, yes, the word came clearly from the still body. Peter stared at the monitor. That's not possible, Marcus continued. My heart stopped, he said calmly. I felt it stop. Adrian's voice trembled despite his effort to steady it. What do you experience now? Silence. Then, I can still hear you. The temperature in the room seemed to shift. Peter rubbed his arms. Is the heater off? Adrian did not answer. Marcos, he said, leaning closer. Are you aware of your body? Yes. In what way? It feels far away. The skin of Marcus's face had already begun losing color. You are clinically dead, Adrian said, his mouth dry. But you are still responding. Tell me what you see. Nothing, Marcus whispered. Then after a moment, and everything. Peter shook his head. Brain activity should cease within seconds. This is not... Please, Adrian said sharply. Let him speak. Marcus's breathing had stopped entirely. His chest no longer moved. I am not alone, Marcus said. Adrian felt his stomach tighten. What do you mean? There is something here. Describe it. I cannot. His voice carried strain now. It is not a person, not a place. It is a passage. Peter stepped closer. Adrian, we need to stop this. Marcus, Adrian said urgently, ignoring him. Are you afraid? A long pause. Yes, the word was small, but it is not hostile. The EEG flickered. I think, Marcus continued slowly. This is where everyone passes. Passes to where? I do not know. The room felt smaller. The apartment walls seemed to lean inward. Marcus, Adrian said, forcing calm into his voice. If you wish to end the hypnotic state, I can count you back. No. The response was immediate. Do not. His voice was clearer now, stronger than before his heart had stopped. If you end it, I will go through. You need to, Peter said under his breath. I am not ready, Marcus whispered. Adrian swallowed. Are you stuck? He asked. Yes. The single word echoed in the quiet room. I am between. The EEG pulsed again, faint but steady. Adrian, Peter said, his voice barely audible now. His brain should not still be functioning. Adrian did not look away from Marcus's unmoving face. Marcus, he said softly, why can you still hear me? There was a pause that stretched far too long. Then Marcus answered, I do not know. And the monitors continued to blink in the darkness. I think I missed something, Marcus whispered. There was a moment, and I did not go. The words came from a body that no longer breathed. Dr. Adrian Keller felt his pulse hammering in his ears. The apartment was silent except for the faint electrical hum of equipment and the steady, impossible rhythm of brainwaves dancing across the EEG screen. Peter Rowan stepped closer to the monitors. his voice unsteady. "It has been 9 minutes since cardiac arrest. This cannot be residual activity." But the lines on the screen continued to move. Slow, deliberate, aware. "Marcus," Adrian said, leaning forward, forcing his voice to remain calm and grounded, the way he would guide any subject in trance. "Tell me about the moment you missed." "There was an opening," Marcus replied, "like a current pulling me forward. It felt natural, easy, like falling asleep after being awake too long." His jaw hung slack, unmoving, yet the words flowed clearly. "And?" Adrian asked quietly. "You were speaking." Adrian's stomach dropped. "You told me to stay aware." The room felt suddenly smaller. "I held on," Marcus continued. "I stayed in observation. I did not let go." Peter turned sharply. "Adrian." Adrian ignored him. "Marcus," he said carefully. "What is happening now?" Silence, long enough that Adrian feared it had ended. Then, "The passage is still here." A faint tremor moved through Marcus's fingers. Not a living twitch, something else. A stiff, unnatural motion. "But it is farther." "How far?" Adrian asked. "Like a door closing down a hallway." The EEG spiked slightly. Peter wiped sweat from his forehead. "We need to end the trance." Marcus spoke before Adrian could respond. "If you break it now, I think I will shatter." The words carried fear, not panic, not hysteria. Fear. "What do you mean?" Adrian asked. "I am stretched," Marcus said slowly. "Part of me is here, part of me is there. If you snap the connection, I do not know what remains." Adrian felt the weight of every choice he had made leading to this moment. He had wanted proof. He had wanted data. Now he had a dead man asking him not to let go. "Marcus," he said gently, "describe the passage again." "It is not light, not darkness. It is dissolving." "In what way?" "I can feel others moving through it." Peter inhaled sharply. "Others?" "Yes." The word echoed hollowly. "They pass quickly. They do not hesitate." "What happens to them?" Adrian asked. "They lose edges." The temperature in the apartment dipped again. Adrian could see his breath now in faint clouds. "They stop being separate." "And you?" Adrian asked. "I am still separate." The EEG trembled. "I am still me." A deep, unnatural cracking sound came from Marcus's chest as air escaped from his lungs for the final time. Peter took another step back. "Adrian, this is wrong." His body is beginning to show early post-mortem rigidity. Marcus continued speaking. "I can see my body." Adrian's voice dropped to a whisper. "From where?" "From just behind it." "Describe what you see." "My skin is gray, my mouth is open, my eyes are half closed." The eyelids suddenly snapped fully open. The pupils were rolled upward, only the whites visible. Peter gasped. The EEG surged higher. "Marcus," Adrian said, fighting the rising tremor in his voice. "If you wish to go through, you can." Silence. Then, "I do not know if I can." "Why not?" "The door is narrowing." The apartment lights flickered. Peter grabbed Adrian's arm. "End this." Adrian pulled away. "Marcus," he said firmly, returning to the steady tone of hypnotic guidance. "You are safe. You are observing. You are not trapped." "Yes," Marcus said. But his voice had changed. It was deeper, layered, as if another tone existed beneath it. "I am not trapped," he repeated slowly. "Not yet." The EEG line spiked violently, then steadied. "I can feel something noticing me," Marcus said. Adrian's throat tightened. "Noticing you how? It was not aware of me before," Peter whispered. "Adrian. But now it is." "What is it?" Adrian pressed. Marcus hesitated. "I do not think it is a being." "Then what?" "It is the rule." The words landed heavy in the air. The rule of passing, Adrian swallowed. Explain. Everything must move through quickly. The longer something lingers, the more it resists. The EEG trembled again. I am resisting. The corpse's fingers curled inward. And it does not like that. A low vibration moved through the room, almost too deep to hear but strong enough to feel. Peter stepped toward the door. I am calling emergency services. No, Adrian snapped. Marcus spoke again. If you bring others, they will not see this. They will see a body. And what are we seeing? Peter demanded. Marcus answered. You are seeing what should not remain. The lights flickered again, longer this time. The monitors glitched, then stabilized. Adrian's mind raced. If consciousness persisted beyond cardiac death, then perhaps hypnosis had anchored it, sustained it past the natural threshold. Marcus, he said carefully, is there still a way through? Yes. Relief washed through him. But it is closing. How long? Adrian asked. I do not understand time here. The EEG began pulsing irregularly. Marcus, Adrian said urgently, if you want to go, I will release you. I will count you out. Silence stretched. Then, I am afraid. I know. I can feel myself thinning. The voice fractured slightly. My memories are dimming. Peter stared at the monitors. The activity is fluctuating wildly. Marcus, Adrian said, fighting rising dread. Focus. Stay coherent. Tell me what you need. The corpse's jaw shifted unnaturally. I need you to decide. Decide what? Whether I stay? Peter shook his head. That is not a choice we should have. Marcus's voice grew softer. If you strengthen the trance, I will remain aware longer. Adrian felt ice spread through his chest. And if I release it, I will pass. The EEG trembled again. But if you wait too long, Marcus continued, the passage will close completely. The word completely hung in the air like a warning. Peter's voice broke. Adrian, you are not thinking clearly. But Adrian was thinking very clearly. He had wanted to observe the moment. This was the moment. Marcus, he asked slowly, what happens if it closes? Silence, long, heavy. Then, I do not know. The temperature dropped again. And that, Marcus whispered, is what frightens me most. The EEG spiked sharply. The corpse's head turned slightly toward Adrian with a stiff, unnatural motion. You kept me here, Marcus said, and now the layered tone was unmistakable. Yes, Adrian answered quietly. You told me to remain. Yes. The lights dimmed again. I obeyed. Peter's hand gripped the doorknob. Adrian, he whispered urgently, whatever this is, it is changing. Adrian could see it too. The brainwave patterns were no longer smooth. They were jagged, climbing, intensifying. Marcus spoke once more, his voice echoing with something no longer entirely human. The passage is nearly gone. Adrian felt the weight of the decision pressing down on him like gravity. Strengthen the trance, or release it. The EEG surged higher than it had all night, and Marcus whispered, Hurry. The EEG was screaming, not flat, not fading, screaming. Jagged spikes tore across the monitor as Marcus's lifeless body jerked violently in the recliner. His head tilted too far back, too far to the side, at an angle no living neck could hold. Hurry, he had whispered. Now it was too late. Marcus, Adrian shouted, stepping forward. I am ending the trance. Peter backed against the wall. Do it now! Adrian forced his voice into the steady cadence of release. Marcus, listen to me. The hypnotic state is ending. You are free to let go. You are free to move through the passage. On the count of 3, the body convulsed again. 1, The lights flickered violently. 2. The air felt heavy, pressing against Adrian's chest. 3. Silence. For one long second, nothing moved. The EEG dropped, then exploded upward. Marcus's eyes snapped fully open, pure white, no pupils, and when he spoke, it was not in a single voice. It was layered, stacked, as if multiple tones were forced through one broken instrument. "It is closed," Peter made a choking sound. "What does that mean?" "I cannot pass." The words vibrated through the room. Adrian's breath caught. "Marcus, focus on me. The trance is over." "You held me past the moment," the voice said. The corpse's mouth stretched wider than it should. The jaw made a sharp cracking sound as it opened unnaturally. "The current moved on without me." Peter shook his head, pale. "This is neurological noise, it has to be." But the EEG showed organized patterns, structured, intentional. "I am still aware," the voice said, "but the way is gone." Adrian felt something cold slide through his chest. "What happens now?" he whispered. The answer came slowly. "I remain." The word echoed in the apartment like a verdict. Marcus's fingers twitched again, stiff but deliberate. "I feel the body," he continued, "not as life, as decay." Peter looked toward the door again. "We need authorities. We need—" "No," Adrian said, barely hearing himself. Marcus inhaled sharply, even though no lungs were working. "I can feel the cells breaking," he said, voice trembling. "I can feel the blood thickening in the veins." Adrian stepped closer, despite every instinct telling him to run. "Marcus, I am here. Tell me exactly what you are experiencing." A low, shaking sound came from the corpse's throat. "I am aware of ending." "In what way?" "I can feel each piece of me stopping." The EEG flickered but did not fall. "My skin is cooling." Adrian swallowed. "My tissues are failing." The voice cracked. "There is no pain, but there is knowing," Peter whispered. "Oh God." "I can feel the bacteria," Marcus said, and now his voice trembled with real fear. "They are multiplying." The smell in the room shifted. Thicker, heavier. "I am rotting," Marcus whispered. The words were small, human again. "And I am conscious of it." Peter pressed a hand over his mouth. Adrian's hands shook, but he kept recording. "You said the passage closed," Adrian said carefully. "Is there any other way?" "No." The answer was immediate. "You anchored me." The accusation was quiet, not angry, just true. "You kept me observing when I should have dissolved." Adrian's chest tightened painfully. "I did not know," he whispered. "You wanted proof." The EEG spiked again. "You have it." Marcus's body jerked upright suddenly, stiff as wood. "I can feel the brain," he gasped. "Cells are shutting down one by one." The screen flickered with unstable bursts. "It is darkening inside," he said, "but not completely." Peter stepped forward despite himself. "How long can this continue?" Marcus answered. "Until the structure collapses." "How long?" Adrian pressed. "Hours, maybe longer." The word longer hung in the air like a curse. "I cannot move," Marcus whispered. "I cannot escape. I can only observe my own decomposition." Adrian felt tears sting his eyes. "I am so sorry." The corpse's head tilted slowly toward him. "I asked you not to end the trance too late." His voice was weakening. "You waited. I thought—" "Yes," Marcus said softly. "You thought." The EEG wavered again. "My memories are fading." "Hold on," Adrian said urgently. "I cannot." The voice flickered like a failing signal. "I am not fully Marcus anymore." A pause. "I am only awareness." The room felt impossibly still. Peter's voice was barely audible. "We have to end it." "How?" Adrian whispered. Marcus answered. Destroy the brain. Adrian froze. That is the only way, Marcus said. If the physical structure collapses completely, awareness will stop. Peter shook his head violently. That is illegal. I am already dead. Marcus whispered. You would not be killing me. You would be freeing me. Adrian stared at the EEG. The patterns were weaker now, but still there, still conscious. Please, Marcus said. The word was fragile. I have been dead for hours. His voice broke. I do not want to experience days. Peter swallowed hard. If we do nothing, he remains aware. Yes, Marcus said faintly. The smell thickened again. I can feel the swelling beginning. Adrian felt nausea rise. He had wanted to know. Now he knew. There was a window, Marcus whispered. It was brief. His voice faded further. Death must move quickly. The EEG dipped sharply, then flared again. If you hold it, it becomes this. Adrian made his choice. Peter, he said quietly. The potassium. Peter hesitated only a moment before retrieving the syringe from his emergency kit. If we do this, Peter said, voice shaking, there is no reversing it. There is nothing left to reverse, Adrian answered. Marcus's final whisper drifted from cracked lips. Thank you. Peter injected the solution directly into the carotid artery. The EEG spiked violently, then flattened. No flicker, no echo, just a steady, unbroken line. Silence filled the apartment. Marcus Vale was finally gone. Not clinically, not temporarily, completely. Peter was sank into a chair. Adrian stood frozen, staring at the flat monitor. They stayed that way for a long time. When authorities arrived hours later, they saw only a natural death, a terminal illness, a grieving researcher. No one asked about the equipment. No one questioned the data. Adrian never published the recordings. 8 hours of a dead man describing the inside of death. He encrypted the files, locked them away, closed his lab within 3 months. He took a teaching job far from neurological research, simple psychology, safe topics. He never hypnotized another dying subject. But some nights when the house was silent, he would open the encrypted folder. He would stare at the waveform frozen on his screen, and he would remember the words. There was a window, a brief passage, a moment that must not be interrupted. Because if you hold consciousness past that point, it does not transcend, it does not transform, it remains, and remaining is worse.